Hey everyone, so today I'm going to be finishing the story of Merugud Uilix, which is the Irish version of the Odyssey. If you haven't seen part 1, there's a link to that in the description and you're going to want to watch that first. If you have, let's dive right in where we left off. So Uilix and his men have been learning from the Judge of Truth, who's told them he's taught them all he has to teach them. Tomorrow they need to leave, but they should come say goodbye to him before they go. So they do, they go out onto the lawn to say farewell, and he gives them a small bag, and he says to Uilix, keep this as a keepsake, but do not open it, because if you open it, you will never get to your homeland. Uilix thinks this is a reasonably fair trade. Shouldn't be too hard not to open a bag, and if that means he'll get home safely, he's cool with that. So he takes it and thanks the Judge of Truth. And if you're familiar with the Odyssey, you may be thinking, oh, well that's definitely the Bag of Winds. Someone's going to open that and it's all going to go terribly wrong. But no, because this story is weird like that and likes to take those tropes and then not use them. So we will find out what's in the bag later. After he's given them the bag, the Judge of Truth gives them some instructions on how to get home. Notably, these directions are for overland travel and not by sea, which is weird given that Ithaca is an island, but that's medieval Irish geography for you. And they set off on the road, and finally they reach the borderlands where there's a guest house. There are people from all over the world staying in this guest house, which, incidentally, the word used for guest house is just one length mark or fada away from meaning house of death instead. So that just goes to show that fadas really do save lives and that spelling is important, but it's also probably a deliberate double meaning. And while they're in the guest house, people ask them where they're going and they say they're going into the borderlands. And the next morning everyone who's in the guest house gets up and goes out. The crew want to go too, but Uilix says no. We're smarter than this, we just paid 30 ounces of red gold for some learning and the Judge of Truth told us not to leave until the sun reached that point in the sky. Sun's not there yet, we're staying put. And he sits back down. The crew are like, come on, we're nearly home, why aren't we leaving? We need to get there. I paid for my learning and I'm gonna get my money's worth, says Uilix. We're not leaving. You want us to die, say the crew, that's what you want. You took 80 ships to Troy, there are 8 of us left. You want to kill us too. A man nearby hears them arguing and says, oh, you're staying here then? Yeah, for a while, they tell him. So do you know the borderlands well? He asks. No, we don't actually at all. Okay, so you see that road over there, says the man. They nod, they see it. Well, you don't want that one. You want to keep going past the field. You see that sheep by the start? Yeah, ignore him and ignore the crossroads. Just keep going. That road over there, that's the road you want to take. Have you noticed how Irish people always do that when you ask for directions? They tell you where you don't want to go before they tell you where you do want to go. Like, I'm embellishing the text here, but we know that's what he said. He did not just point at a road and tell them to take it. This is Ireland we're talking about. Okay. So Uilix is like, oh, that road? That one. Make for that one, says the man, and you'll reach your country unharmed. So the man and his friends leave shortly after that, but Uilix and his crew still stay put. There's plenty of people on the road, say the crew. It's clearly safe to travel. If we go now, we'll be fine. And what about those people, says Uilix. You know, that raiding party we can see? They're gonna set upon everyone. If we're on the road, it'll be us they attack. They've got the whole field surrounded. And sure enough, the raiding party descends upon the travellers on the road until not one of them is left living. They're all dead. All of them. Do you see that then? Says Uilix. I told you so. Yeah, okay, says the crew, maybe that 30 ounces of gold wasn't wasted. The rest though? Still holding back judgment on that one. Let's go, says Uilix, before the raiders get themselves gathered and attack us as well. So they go out of the guest house and set off on the road, and mostly they stick to that second piece of advice from the Judge of Truth, which is that they should always take the main road and not take any shortcuts. But partway through, a couple of men from the crew get bored and decide, you know what, screw this, I'm taking a shortcut. They die immediately. Now, we're not told whether they just straight up drop dead or whether they were attacked by potentially the raiders from before, but they die anyway. Whatever happened, they get their deaths immediately. Sucks to be them. Now finally, Uilix and the 6 remaining people of his crew reach the fortress or the castle or palace or whatever. It's notable that there are still 7 of them. Unlike in the Odyssey where Odysseus eventually gets home alone, he has at least managed to maintain some of his crew this time. He's brought to the Queen's chambers and she's sitting on a great throne in the middle of the house, and beside her is a young man who is stronger and more handsome than any of the other young warriors they've seen in the kingdom, clearly like top notch. And Uilix goes, ah, crap, I told you so, she's gone and got herself a boy toy, she's not gonna want me back. His men are like, look, just put up with it for now, alright, till we know what's going on. Well, strangers, says Penelope. Who are you all? We're just a bunch of confused seafarers, say the crew. And she has them put up in the guest quarters and given great entertainment and food, and Uilix is sitting there with his crew and he says, you know what I want to do? No, because we're not psychic, says his crew. There's an escape tunnel that goes from the town right into the Queen's quarters. I know this because I put it there. I want to go through that tunnel until I get to her room and see her sleeping there with that young man, and I'm gonna kill them both. That sounds like a bad plan, says his crew. Why don't you go back to the King of the Greeks and ask him for help? Explain what happens. You went to Troy for him, for Helen, Maybe he'll come for you and you'll win your own wife back. And Uilix is like, yeah, gods forbid we have a repeat of Troy. We barely survived that the first time. I do not want another 10-year war. Well then, says the crew, we're all gonna die. Happy now? Uilix, as he has been doing throughout the text, ignores them and goes ahead with his plan. He sneaks through the escape tunnel until he reaches the Queen's bedroom and he hears her speaking with the young man. He raises his sword and then hesitates, remembering that piece of advice the Judge of Truth gave him. The other 2 bits of advice he gave them worked out well, so maybe he should listen to the one about thinking before he acts. 3 times he takes a breath. 3 times he raises his sword and prepares to strike. And on the 3rd time, when he's about to actually kill them, the Queen cries out, "Oh, my son, I had such a terrible dream. I dreamt your father was here and he was going to kill us both because he thought you were my lover. I swear by the gods I've not had another man in my bed since he left. I was pregnant when he's gone and the only person who's slept in my bed since then is you to keep my honour." And the son's like, "Yeah, I know this, I was there. This is unnecessary exposition, come on mum." Uilix hears her speaking and realises his mistake, so he doesn't kill her, and she gets up and cries, presumably thinking about her husband who might never come home from the war because he's been gone for quite a long time. It's a fairly good chance that he's dead by now. He listens to her crying for a long time before falling asleep in his hiding place, and the next morning he wakes up and is a little embarrassed to find he fell asleep there, and he sneaks back through the tunnel to his crew and tells them what happened. They are very relieved to know he didn't murder his son, and they give thanks to the gods for ensuring that that was the case. So then they go back for a second audience with the Queen, who asks again who they are. This time Uilix says, "I am Uilix, son of Leirtis." "You don't look much like him," says Penelope. "But I am," he says, "and I can prove it." He tells her secrets that only Uilix would know, but she's still not convinced. "What happened to you?" she said. "You're a mess, and where are your crew?" "They're gone," he says, apparently forgetting that 6 of them are right there. "Gone astray, gone to ruin, gone. It's just me." She says. "What sign did you give me when you left?" "I gave you a golden brooch with a head of silver," he says. "That much is true," she admits. "But you haven't asked after your dog," and Uilix would definitely have asked after his dog. "You mean she's alive?" says Uilix. "I assumed she was dead ages ago, otherwise I would have definitely have asked." "Yeah, I fed her well because I knew Uilix loved her," says Penelope. "I gave her a gruel of life to keep her alive. But if you know so much, what kind of dog was she?" "Her sides are white," says Uilix. "And her back is purple, and her belly is black, and her tail is greenish." And I just have to pause here and say how much I love Uilix and his multicoloured dog. It's like the writer was vaguely aware of the classical version and was like, you know what, a white dog? Kind of rubbish. I'm gonna have a multicoloured dog because that's better. "Yeah, that sounds like your weird dog, alright," says Penelope. "And only you, me, and the steward were ever able to feed her." "Bring her inside," says Uilix. So they fetch the dog, and when she hears Uilix's voice, she pulls so hard that the 4 men holding her lead just smack on their faces, you know, full on slapstick. She springs into Uilix's lap and starts licking his face, and this dog is obviously a lot more lively than the one in the Greek version, mostly because he's only been gone 13 years, not like 20, so she's younger, and also clearly the writer is like, this dog is going to be better. So it makes it a much more joyful and less emotional reunion than one where the dog just dies. And when the people see the dog behaving like this, they think, well, this must be Uilix, and they like reach forward and they're reaching out to him and kissing him and embracing him, but Penelope hangs back. She says, "You're Uilix." "I am," he says. "There are a lot of powerful beings out there that could know the things you know," she says. "You could be some otherworld creature come to trick me. You certainly don't look like Uilix. I think I just need a bit more time. I'm not going to sleep with you until I'm sure about this." "Yeah, that's fair enough," he says. I respect your judgment." And it takes about a week for Penelope to be certain that the man in front of her really is her husband, and not a shapeshifter or a trickster trying to get in her pants. Finally, she accepts that he's Uilix. "I did some studying while I was gone," he says, "and my teacher gave me this little bag. He said I should bring it home without opening it, and I did. So now I'll give it to you." Penelope takes the bag from him and opens it. Inside are 90 ounces of red gold, all of the money that they paid the Judge of Truth to teach them, now given back to them because they kept their word and didn't open the bag. Moreover, it's not just the 90 ounces of gold, there's also a gold bar on top of it all. So all of Uilix's student loans are paid off, and he's safely back home with Penelope, and he doesn't murder his son, and his dog's still alive. A happy ending all round, at least for him and the 6 members of his crew who actually made it back from Troy. By medieval Irish standards, this story is very nice and non-violent, which makes it fun to compare to the medieval Irish version of the Oresteia, Fingal Clantantal, which somehow makes that story so much worse. And it was bad enough to start with, so they made there be more murder. So much more murder. But that's a story for another day. I hope you've enjoyed hearing Merugud Uilix. I'm not sure what story I'm going to tackle next, so leave your suggestions and requests in the comments, along with any questions you might have about this one. All my social media links are in the description, and if you've learned something from this video and want to support my further research, there's a link to my Ko-fi account so you can tip me for my work. Otherwise, I will see you soon with whichever story I do next. Bye!